Willie, on a night like tonight, we talked to Tobias about it, but particularly with the offensive output, obviously being as big as it was, that helps. But when you get sort of the help from like seeing eye singles and some of the errors that UW made tonight, how much do those additional runs mean in times like this?
Well, I think the result of what they did created those opportunities. Certainly, we had 3 strikeouts and 7 walks, so we cut down big time on the strikeouts, which is something we've been trying to stress. Not saying that's going to happen every night, but when you put the ball in play, good things have a tendency to happen. You put more pressure on the defense, make them earn every out, and sometimes good things happen. It's a lot better than walking back to the dugout. So that was a big thing for us tonight. Like I said, only striking out 3 times was impressive, and then on the flip side of things, we only walked 1 hitter as well. I told them in there, we got out home run today, but home runs don't always win games. Offenses win games, so and good pitching obviously wins games. So that was a big performance by our offense, and that's I think those guys, they expect more of that, and I know we do as well.
How nice was it for you just to be able to sit back and watch Walker cruise through those last 4 innings?
Dougie, Jacob, does, he just kind of methodically goes out and gets outs. And it's, he's nothing flashy, he's nothing that, lighting up the radar gun. He just goes out and gets outs and big outs usually. So for him to continue to do what he does and go out and give us 4 solid innings, to where we can preserve the bullpen a little bit longer this weekend, that's big. Luck didn't have his best stuff today, but he competed very well and got us through 5, and Dougie did outstanding the last 4. So you don't always have to have your best stuff, but if you keep your team in it and keep innings small and give your offense a chance to get going, usually a recipe for good things to happen.
Where's the Dougie nickname come from? I've been asked this for a few weeks actually.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that's his real name is Doug, but I have to double check on that. But so it's either his real name or his middle name. I'm not sure, but one of the two. But it's Dougie's just kind of stuck, and now everybody calls him Dougie, including myself. I have to double check and see what his actual real name is a lot of times. But yeah, Dougie's been outstanding.
Thank you. We know how much you hate to lose. You expressed that very much last game as well. How does it feel now with a needed win, though?
A lot better than the alternative. So, but we understand the expectations, and for me, it's a nice win. But I think if you ask anybody in their coaching staff, players, we're satisfied with 1. That's a nice win. It's a good way to start it, but we got to get ready to continue to play tomorrow. And wins and losses aside, it's just a brand of baseball that we're trying to play, that we haven't hit our potential or anywhere near that yet. So for me, it's just continuing to expect, set the expectations high, and demand that they continue to strive to be better each day. And again, I think if we do that, the wins will follow. Try not to get overly caught up in the wins and losses, but at the end of the day, obviously, I don't like to come out on the losing end. But for me, the important part is these guys continue to improve and play better, and to reach their potential. If we do, I like our chances.
Back to Walker. To have a rubber arm like that, who has been in a very diverse amount of roles this year. It's been a subtle progress, I think, as of late. But any progress is good progress. To have an outing tonight again where he goes 4 innings and sort of, like you said, sort of saves the bullpen. How much does that open up options for the rest of the weekend?
I mean, that's extremely valuable to have a guy like that doesn't complain about his role, doesn't mind think it when, I'm starting today, but I'm in the bullpen tomorrow. What does that mean? He doesn't care. He just wants the ball and go compete and do the best job he can for his team. And you got to have guys like that. Like I said, nothing that lights up the radar gun and makes everybody stop in their tracks, but the dude just goes out and competes and gets outs. and he doesn't care which role he's in. He honestly, truly doesn't. He's just like, yeah, I'm ready to go today. Give me a PB&J sandwich, and he's good to go. And that's just kind of Dougie. His personality is laid back, and whatever I can do, I'm ready to go. And I asked him to throw tomorrow, he'd probably say, yeah, I can start tomorrow if you need me to. That's what type of kid he is. So you got to have those selfless type kids that are willing to do whatever it takes for your team to win. It's important when you're trying to build a culture in there that those guys team first, and that's what he is.
Another guy who might not stop you in your tracks, Alex Champagne, 0 for 2 today, but he had 2 walks and it just seemed like he had a knack for the bases today. Is he sort of like your glue guy? Would you kind of characterize him like that?
Alex is, he's a great kid. Absolutely works tremendously hard. As you said it best, that scouts aren't gonna come by to see him play, but he just goes out and plays baseball. And a lot of times it can be a little rough around the edges with him, but he just goes and competes. And his will to win and his will to play well shines through more often than not. Again, 0 for 2 on the stat sheet, but 2 really big walks that continued the rally and really kind of wore down, the good long at bats and battling pitches, fighting pitches off, working walks. You need those at bats in order to have your offense function properly. You can't just have a lineup full of guys that hit homers and that's it. You got to have those, like you said, glue guys that pass the torch to the next guy and get on base. And he stole a base tonight. So I mean, he just does, a lot of little things right. Again, nothing flashy, but does a good job when we ask him to.
Coach, it was a good sign to see Hunter Haas get in at bat tonight. What's your evaluation of his timeline, I suppose, his recovery?
It's something we're going to be obviously monitor closely. We're not going to put him in a situation where he can hurt that thing any worse. He's not ready to throw yet, but he can swing it just fine with no pain. He can run just fine. He can do everything else except for the throwing part. So it's important, I think, to keep him in the mix as much as we can. So we'll continue to look for situations to keep him in games if we can do that, and get him and keep him involved for when and if his arm does get healthy enough where he's able to play defense, that hopefully he's not too stale, if you will, and can bounce right back in there. So timetable wise, I'm not sure. It's not anytime soon, but the fact that he's still contributing in some way, shape, or form is big for us because he's a big part of our team.
In the meantime, you went back to Champagne at second base after putting Baez there the other game. Was that just to kind of test things out, or are you kind of back to having Champagne and McLean up the middle?
No, I mean, I think it's these guys are freshmen that get thrown in the fire a little earlier than they thought, and sometimes it's good just to have a mental breather, from a day. And I did that with Will Rogers today as well, just to kind of give those guys a different perspective for a minute and have them take a deep breath and say, okay, and sometimes it's more of a mental break than anything. From a standpoint of Nate is flexible enough to be able to bounce around, play third, play second, play left. He can do those sort of things. So at times you need a little bit of a mental breather, and Nate's an older guy that's been around and done this, so sometimes you got to give the younger guys just a break to see things from a different perspective and stay hungry, I guess, and stay in the lineup.
Coach, offense has kind of come in fits and starts for you this season, especially with this recent skid. Tonight, 7 different guys get RBIs, 8 different guys get hits. Champagne, of course, the only guy who didn't, still had a really good game. How big is that for you to see, and what do you think kind of led to that outburst tonight?
I think just guys focused, locked in, not trying to do too much. Not trying to hit the ball in the ballpark, just staying nice and short up the middle when they needed to. And again, I alluded to at the beginning, when you only punch out 3 times and put the ball in play, a lot of good things happen. It's a lot better than taking the walk of shame back to the dugout and battling and putting the ball in play and laying off tough pitches. And like I said, putting the ball in play really keeps the opposing defense on their heels a lot of times, because you're gonna make something happen and force them to make plays. So I think they did a great job of that today. So hopefully that's a start of something that we can continue.
I asked Tobias this too, but after what happened on Tuesday, would you say you guys effectively channeled the anger from a game like that into tonight? And how do you sort of use what was left over from that to move forward and still find success?
Well, I think, you try to turn the page on wins and losses. Like I said tonight to these guys, you celebrate for a half hour, 45 minutes, and then it's back to business here at 2 o'clock tomorrow. You try to do the same thing with the loss, but, this is a learning process. We certainly, every time you win or lose, there's things you can work on and learn from. We learned a lot about I said it from the beginning on Tuesday, I gotta do a better job coaching. It starts with me. I have to do something that can get through to these guys what our message is trying to get through to them on, not striking out, getting on top of the baseball, making things happen. Was that something I said? No, probably not. But maybe it sunk into a couple guys to where, but I'm not gonna take the credit for it. They're the ones that gotta go out and make the change, and they have been, and they're, you can just kind of see it in the way they're going about their business and their batting practice. Yeah, something's gotta change, because the way we're doing it right now isn't working. And, hopefully, like I said, today was a step in the right direction. So it's just a matter of us continuing to stay on it and staying with that approach.
Coach, when we spoke with Tobias, it was clear that he was still trying to remain humbled even after a performance like tonight at the plate. It seemed that way even a couple other times when Rogers has had some really big games. I'm just curious, did you have like a sit down with the freshmen, the underclassmen, to kind of make sure that they remained level-headed through the success and even the failures, given that's a long season?
To answer your question in short, no, I didn't have a sit down with the freshmen. That's just hopefully what's the expectations are here. I've tried to preach that with not only our young guys, but our whole team, and that you let your actions do the talking. You don't have to chirp if you're good enough. You don't have to say a word. Tonight, Jacob Tobias didn't need to say a word. So just go out and let your actions do the talking. And he had a great game, and so I'm glad to hear he remained humble.
Thanks, Coach.